Welcome to Charcast, where we explore games and geek culture through the hills and hollows of West Virginia. I'm Travis.
I'm Dave.
I'm Doug.
And we're back again with, what is this, episode 5?
Yeah.
I think this is episode 5, and we are still, I think, on our pattern of doing them regularly. We're getting back in the groove of doing regular episodes, which is a good thing.
Maybe so.
Yeah,
Hopefully so.
So hopefully you'll see another one after a couple weeks after this one. And we're going to keep cranking them out as we lead into CharCon and all the summer stuff. So let's get right started into talking about some CharCon news. The CharCon Kickstarter just closed recently. It was very successful. It was fully funded. Almost 300% funded, I think, which is great.
That's right.
Thanks to all the backers. And everybody should thank the backers because they unlocked some cool stretch goals. We're going to go over those now just so everybody knows. The stretch goals that were unlocked were a blooper reel or a behind-the-scenes reel from the filming of our Kickstarter video. If you haven't watched that, it's on our YouTube channel, and you can still see it on the Kickstarter. It's a cool wasteland Fallout Mad Max Fury Road parody that we did to promote the Kickstarter. It was a lot of fun to film, and we were all kind of goofy, but it was still really entertaining, and it came together great. Doug did a great job.
Yep.
Thanks. I tried.
You did. It was fantastic.
So we added a behind-the-scenes reel out there that's got some extra footage that was a lot of fun, too. We're going to, again, unlock watching a movie on Friday night at the Clay Center. It will be in the newly remodeled planetarium, which has an IMAX equivalent screen and sound. Last year was awesome. The screen, we watched Rogue One. It was amazing. So we can't confirm what the film's going to be yet. They're still looking into the licensing, but we hope to be showing something from the Mad Max franchise. So we also unlocked that we will be doing a live recording of this show, CharCast, from the Clay Center. We hope to do it on the stage, but we just have to kind of wait and see what our technical specs allow us to do. We may have to do it in the lounge or somewhere else, but we're going to do that, and we'll live stream it, and we'll record it and put it up online. And we're pretty sure we've got a couple of other content creators who are also going to be doing live streams. So,
do you think the theater's big enough for our audience?
It may not be. We may have to move to a bigger performance hall.
Yeah, we're certainly really popular from the statistics that I've seen.
Well, if all the people that follow the page bring like 100 friends with them, then there'd still be enough space. So anyway, tell all your friends to like our YouTube channel. So live CharCast, and then we also unlocked having acoustic music in the lounge, the Founders Lounge, on the second floor. Where you can go in and hang out and have a drink and play games. Have acoustic music there. We may do it Friday and Saturday, but definitely one of those nights. And Doug has secured Shalem. Is that how?
Shalem.
Shalem.
He's a local rapper from Beckley.
He's a local hip hop artist, Doug.
Hip-hopist.
Hip-hopist. Hip-hopopotamist.
Yeah.
All right. And then a folk singer named Aaron Milner. Did I get that one right?
You got that one right.
Okay, excellent. So one or both of them will perform over the course of the weekend. And then the final thing is that every Kickstarter backer gets a free a free visitor badge to give to someone that they'd like to bring with them that wants to see the movie on Friday night. So that's kind of a bonus for them. Because we encourage people who aren't attendees to come out to see the movie and hopefully check the show out and have so much fun they come back on Saturday. So.
Yep.
So those are the things that were unlocked. Again, a very successful Kickstarter. Thanks so much for all the support. We're glad to see how it came together. It's very important. It lets us offer things we can't offer normally, and it also gives us good information on leading up on what kind of attendance we're going to have and operating capital because this show isn't free to plan. So all those things are very important.
Yep. Thanks to everyone who backed it. We appreciate it.
Yeah. One more person than last year, right?
One more person than last year, I think. So it's growth. It's a different kind of growth. I mean, we had a lot more of the VIP packages and stuff.
I think we definitely hit more stretch goals, right?
We didn't open them all last year. I think we missed one last year. So yeah,
okay.
And we included an add-on this year where people could add on challenge coins. I don't know that we did a lot of those, but I think it's really cool that we did that.
I'm not sure I understand that add-on.
So A challenge coin is like, it started with the military, I think, and basically when you accomplish something, you get a coin, and it's become a trendy to have those and trade them with other people that have coins, so that they can have yours and you can have theirs. So we offered it to where people not only would get one, but they could purchase more so that they could use them to trade. I know a lot of the like with the Brawling Brothers and the Blue Peg, Pink Peg, and some of the other board game content creators, they make them. Gen Con had one recently that Chris Ross has. So there's a lot of Secret Cabal always does one.
Yeah,
So.
you can do a coin check. Everybody has to show their coin, and then you get to ridicule everyone who doesn't.
Right.
Oh, okay, because they're not cool.
Right,
Right,
exactly.
right.
That's-
Okay.
Or if you forgot to bring it with you.
Well, I want to be cool. So
You need to
maybe
have
I'll
it-
get a
you need
coin
to have it with
somehow, even though I'm late on that.
Yeah, there you go.
Coin check.
Sorry.
It's too early.
Didn't know we were doing.
Special table decoration check.
Oh, that's right. Doug has his Avengers, that's coming up soon, right? Couple weeks,
That will be the 26th.
right? I still have my John Calipari bobblehead out there, even though Kentucky lost in the tournament.
You know,
I'm
Dave
a
can
fan.
have this keychain, but really it's mine, so Dave loses.
We can't get Dave to bring a item for the table.
Whatever.
It's a
Right.
secret.
So moving on, vendor registration is open right now for CharCon. You can go to the tabletop.events site and you can see the vendors that have already registered. And as more register, they'll pop up and you can see them on a list and see some information about them. We will be opening pre-registration most likely this week, so keep an eye out for that and watch. We'll announce it on the Facebook page. And event submission also will open soon, so people can submit their events and purchase their badges. If you missed out on the Kickstarter, then pre-registration is going to cost you a little more, and you won't get the 6-sided dice. So I guess we told you so. All right, so moving on. Our next thing we're going to do is what have we played lately, right? That's
Sure.
We usually start with Doug, so we'll start with you, Dave.
All right, sounds good. So at Lexicon, and we'll talk about that a little later, one of the games that I got to play that I really enjoyed is Clans of Caledonia. And in that particular game, it's an action selection game, but you're making essentially you're putting your settlements out on the board, and you're making goods like cattle and sheep and wheat, and you're also, of course, it's Scottish, so you're making whiskey, bread and cheese. But really solid Euro game, and one of those games where you think at first, you know, it's only like 5 rounds, but you think at first there's no way you're going to ever accomplish the things you need to accomplish in the game to be successful. But at the end, it's just an avalanche of resources. And
I think I would compare it to
it's-
Terra Mystica with fewer resource types.
Yeah, it's really fun. I quite enjoyed that one.
How many haggis points did you score?
No haggis in the game, unfortunately,
That's just.
or maybe fortunately, depending on your point of view.
How did you pick the one game from Lexicon that I didn't play and beat you in?
Well, I won that one.
I didn't play that one.
That's right.
See how you did that.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
It's clever.
That's how he did that. He just picked it.
I guess.
Right.
Doug,
That's why I picked that one, because I won it.
I understand.
You know, I thought about talking about a game that only I enjoy at this table, 4X, because I finally found my copy inside my copy of Twilight Imperium that I've been talking about all this
Which
time.
you'd have found if you'd have played Twilight Imperium, but you can't get anybody to play.
I've just played James's copy since I've been looking for that game. My copy's sat there.
Do you have
unused.
James's copy, or you've been playing with James?
I've played with James.
Okay. 4X
Um,
is a great game. I'm glad you found it.
Yeah, I love it. I know you're super fond of it, right?
I am.
But no, I've been playing a lot of games with my brother lately, and I think the one that I've enjoyed the most would be Mombasa. And I wouldn't call it a deck building game. It's a hand building game because you have access to all of your cards that aren't in the discard pile. And the trick to the game is you've got 3 to 5 slots that you can play cards to, and as many discard piles as you have slots, and you only get to draw back one of those discard piles every turn. Otherwise, those cards, they have symbols on them. You basically pick a type of symbol, count how many there are of that symbol, do the related action. It's an area control game with stock management stuff. nothing like 18xx. There's no like dumping stocks or anything like that. It's just how much of the map one company controls determines the value per share. But it's really good. I think the only game that has a similar card mechanism would be like Lewis and Clark.
Yeah.
Except there's only one discard pile in that game. It's like that if you split your hand up into multiple discard piles. And I like Lewis and Clark. That's a fun little game.
Yeah. Now that design team that did that, aren't they the same guys that did like Tzolk'in and Grand Austria Hotel and
They did Great Western Trail.
Great Western Trail? Okay,
It's another
Yes.
good game.
And
that's a solid game.
I like
that one's
I like Great
fantastic.
Western Trail. I like Mombasa a lot more. It's not as accessible though. It's definitely a little headier.
I knew they'd done something else that I liked. Couldn't remember which one, but yeah, Great
Yeah.
Western Trail.
I like
really
both
solid.
of those, but I prefer Mombasa. I'd play either of them anytime though.
Sure.
Honestly. All right, Travis, what are you going to say?
So I'm gonna say that I played Fleet the dice game. I just played it last night actually, and it's
We hit it somewhere.
there are a lot of dice games that are out, and there it is. This one's refreshing. It's different. It was really enjoyable. It's designed by the same guys that designed Fleet the card game. You're building up a fleet of fishing ships and going out and fishing. Blah, 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 blah.
Blah,
And
blah,
you're going
blah,
out
blah,
and fishing up in Alaska for, fish.
Fish.
How about
Right.
that?
No, I've heard some good stuff about that game. I'd like to give it a try.
It's very good. I really enjoyed it. You roll fish dice, and you roll these town dice to where you can build up your harbor. You can go to the market, or you can build up your town, and it works very well. I
How
like
do you
it a
feel
lot.
about it compared to Fleet? Because I thought Fleet was all right, but
I liked
it could have been
Fleet.
improved upon.
I liked Fleet. I think I probably would like this better than Fleet.
Okay.
And there's a rash of
Rolling rights.
rolling rights out, right? I mean,
Yeah, a ton.
Guy
And
Sean's
they're all
clever.
a lot of them are good.
Yeah, I haven't played the Days of Wonder one. Have you guys played?
No,
No, what's it called? I forget, but I've not
It's-
played it.
It just came
That was
out.
their release. I mean, considering they only do 1 or 2 games a year, it's interesting that one of them was a rolling right.
Yeah.
I mean, it shows it's a big trend then.
Absolutely. And that's from, if I didn't mention, that's from our friends at Eagle Griffin Games. We like them a lot.
Yeah.
All right, so Dave mentioned Lexicon, and we're going to talk about that briefly because Dave and I went to Lexicon.
Yep.
It was the 6th year for Lexicon, and I've been, I think, every year but one. The guys that run that show are great. They're friends of ours. They come to CharCon. We work on Sin City Con together. But Lexicon's a really fun show. It takes place at the Clarion, the north part of Lexington. Lexington's a great town if you've never been. It's got the feel of a big city, but it's really not a very big city. So it's a fun town to visit. Lexicon is primarily a board game convention. There's lots of board games going. They do the same play-to-win stuff that we do. They've got a huge board game library. And they do some parties, and our role-playing game area is growing. They essentially don't have any miniatures, but they've got an Artemis set up there, and they do a variety of other things. It's a nice, fun convention, and I would recommend it if you haven't been.
Nice space. It's in a hotel, so it's
Right.
got there's a different vibe there, different feel, but
It reminds me of something like that board game thing, just looking at the footage from earlier.
Well, that board game thing is a little different because that's an invite only for starters. but-
Right,
Right.
And what the area I was in most of the time was pretty much the entire time was the board game area.
Where else would you be?
Well, exactly. There was an RPG. There was quite a few people playing RPGs though,
Yeah.
but that was back in another area. There was some cosplay, of course. But big focus on the board game. The library, I think, something like 2,000 games, or
Yeah, it's big.
big library. So.
Yeah. So we're gonna do our top 3. We usually do a top 3 or a top 5 or top whatever. So we're gonna do our top 3 and do our favorite things of Lexicon. So Dave, what was your number 3?
My number 3 thing was hauling stuff to the room.
That was fun.
No, it wasn't fun. I had to say, whoever designed that hotel, it's very. I mean, the hotel, the area where we were gaming and playing stuff was very nice, but the layout of the hotel itself was very.
If you ever build a hotel and you have a change in elevation within the same floor, use ramps and not steps.
And not steps. That's right. So
Come on, steps, and there was 2 flights of steps.
it just
right?
gave me something to complain about. So.
Yeah, I mean, you can't take a cart down steps.
Right. I learned that when I turned the corner and there was steps.
You can try.
So that was your number 3 thing?
That was my number 3 thing.
Okay. All right. So my number 3 thing, I'm going to say their library, and I do a lot of different things while I'm at Lexicon. I don't check a lot of games out of the library. I'm usually playing newer stuff that somebody probably brought. But I do enjoy watching people browse through the library and see their faces when they see how many games are there. And essentially, if you can't find a board game to play in that library that you enjoy, then you're not trying, because it's huge and it's a very diverse. I mean, it's got newer games and more mainstream games, and they've got a big collection of train games and older games. They've got most of the Spiel des Jahres winners. It's very diverse, so it's a great library.
Yep.
My number 3 thing I wish I had done at Lexicon. Wish I played John Company with some people that like it.
Doug wishes he'd gone and played John Company at Lexicon.
That's right.
That's a good number 3.
That's a good goal.
You can help him out and play John Company with him at CharCon, because we won't, because we don't like the game. Dave, what's your number 2?
My number 2, I'd have to say, see Chris, who helps run pretty much what area does he run at Lexicon?
Chris Grewatch?
Yeah, Chris
He's
Grewatch.
the same thing with me and CharCon. I was
Okay.
in charge.
All right.
The director.
But if we can get Travis to dress up in some of the outfits that Chris puts on, that might be interesting. So
Doug, this is the part where we insert some text that says that will never happen.
Okay.
no, he would he'd go around, especially at the parties in the evening, and he would have on some sort of goofy outfit.
He's goofy. Chris likes doing stuff like that. He likes
has a good time.
He likes buying giant inflatable. They have an inflatable Jabba the Hutt and a battle mech and a dragon and
Right.
all sorts of inflatable stuff that's just constantly inflated. And he wears an alien costumes and a pharaoh hat and
Yeah, just whatever he feels like doing. So
if
he has a good time.
If you want a good example, we'll put it on our Facebook page, but they just released a Hey Kentucky segment, which is a big news thing in Kentucky, and that they did on Lexicon, which was very cool. And you can see Chris in his alien being abducted by an alien costume or something. So I'm going to say that my number 2 thing at Lexicon is the parties. They have a party Friday and Saturday night. They're a little different than our party. If you've been to our After Dark party, it's a little more raucous. There's some little bit of boozing, and we did karaoke this year, but it's always been pretty rowdy. They have a sponsor. West 6 Brewery is a sponsor, so there are drinks being consumed, but it's a little more laid back. I always run a trivia show there for them, but they have a variety of events. They play a bunch of werewolf and other stuff, and the parties are just a fun time. They're very enjoyable. So what was your number 2 favorite thing at Lexicon, Doug?
My number 2 thing that I wish I had done and would have loved would be to play Arkwright with people who enjoy it.
Arkwright.
I can't say that I would enjoy it,
I
but
haven't. I'm going to assume that if Doug wants to play it that bad, I probably wouldn't like it.
if Doug wants to set it up, I'll play.
I would play it. I'll play anything once.
I've never.
I played 4X once, so.
It's not that bad. Jordan and I played it in about 2 hours. 2-player.
But it took you 2 hours to set up.
30 minutes maybe. One time, I'd say the average is about a 3-hour play time. One time I had it take 8 because someone just didn't get it. But it was cool. I still liked it when it took 8 hours.
All right.
Man, 8 hours.
What was your number 1 thing, Dave?
Well, as usual, I love playing games, but the conventions anymore are all about the people. So met a lot of great people down there. There were, plenty of people that we knew already. Friends of ours attend, and it's always nice spending time with them. But just getting to meet a lot of new people down at Lexington, and look forward to gaming with them again in the future.
Sure. Yeah. I'm going to say that my favorite thing about going to Lexicon is just being in Lexington. Sort of like Dave said, I have family there, so we got to go visit my dad. I like being in Lexington. There's lots of great restaurants and stuff. We didn't get to go to the ones we'd like to go to this year because Keeneland was in session, and that's the Keeneland racetrack is a qualifier for the Kentucky Derby, so it's a very busy time. So we had to go to some other places, but I just generally enjoy being in Lexington, and Lexicon is a great reason to go to Lexington.
Yeah, you should, if you have a chance to go to Lexicon, I'd highly recommend it. If you like CharCon, I think you'd like Lexicon.
Absolutely. Doug, what was your number one thing that...
I would say my number one thing I wish I had done should be obvious to anyone who's ever watched an episode. That would be to play Twilight Imperium 4 with people who want to play Twilight Imperium 4.
I'm sure that would have happened at Lexicon.
One of these days,
if you had gone. Weren't there like 3 or 4 tables of people who did nothing but play Twilight Imperium 4 the whole time at Lexicon?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure there were.
Yeah.
I don't know why there wouldn't be.
Right.
Yeah.
You
It's
missed
the
out.
best game.
You really missed out on that.
That's
Well,
right.
I wasn't invited. I was probably busy. You guys knew that, so I'm not holding it against anybody. I'm always busy.
All right, so moving on. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to talk about some upcoming regional conventions. If we missed any regional conventions that are happening in the next few weeks, be sure to let us know. Put them in the comments or put it on our Facebook page.
Yep.
We know there are some more coming, but we'll talk about them on the next episode as we get around to those. But the ones we're going to talk about this week is I'm going to Rathacon, which is up in Athens, Ohio. It's on April 26th, closer to the end of the month. It's a smaller convention, a little more cosplay, pop culture oriented, but we're going to take part of our board game library up there and help a friend of ours grow the gaming area, and I'm really looking forward to going.
Is that at the university or?
I think it is. No, I think it's at a community center. I'm not, to be honest, I'm not 100% sure.
You know, the
I
name
think
of that
John told me,
convention's-
but...
That sounds familiar. I don't know why, but
Plus, I get to go to Jackie O's. Dave
That's-
and I have been.
Jackie O's makes some great beer.
It's a great tap room, so I'll get to visit that while I'm there and have a good beer, maybe some good food, and enjoy some good gaming. Also, I think it's the same weekend as Kazakon. This is their, I want to say, 3rd year. It's down in Beckley. I understand it's a very growing convention. They do a lot of cosplay and gaming, and they have some guests. We should have some folks there promoting CharCon and talking to people about it. So look for us. But regardless, make plans to go to Kazakon. Again, it's in Beckley. I think it's at like a community center or an armory or something down there. They have a Facebook page. They probably have a website too, so be sure to check that out.
Yep.
And then the weekend after that is we have an event that some of us are connected with, which is the West Virginia Fox Extra Life, benefiting the Cincinnati Children's Hospital. That's being led by Jeff Cullop and a group of guys. And it's happening on May the 4th, Star Wars Day. I know that they're playing lots of role-playing games. Travis Faber is running a 24-hour D&D Adventures League game.
Wow.
Bunch of board games. There's just all sorts of stuff going on. I know The Grind is hosting a satellite event for it where they're going to be playing Guild Ball. So there's all sorts of stuff going on. And I know I'll be there playing some board games. I figure some of our other folks will probably come out. It takes place in downtown Charleston at Pullen, Fowler, Flanagan, Brown, and Poe law offices.
I'm glad you said that.
It just flows from the tongue. Pullen, Fowler, Flanagan, Brown, Poe law. Dun dun dun.
you can make a rap out of that.
I could. Pullen, Fowler, Flanagan,
No.
Brown.
Law. Walking down the hall.
Right.
There you go.
Orange door hinge.
Check out their Facebook page. It's West Virginia Fox. It's a great cause. It'll be a great time, and support those guys. Even if you can't make it, consider grabbing onto their one of their pledge links and supporting their efforts. So go West Virginia Fox. So now we just want to talk about some general news in the gaming and geek culture world.
Yeah, that's right.
Right.
So one of the things that I probably mentioned before, I haven't done a lot of role playing games in years. Used to do it a lot when we were younger, but I do listen to the Critical Role podcast every episode has come out, and they recently did a Kickstarter, or it's still going on at this moment that we're recording this, and they are going to be doing an animated series for their first campaign, Vox Machina. But the only reason I mention it is, at this point, it's over $9.5 million that they've raised out of a $750,000 goal.
That's more than $750,000.
Yeah, just a little bit more. So I think the original idea was there would be one short episode or something like that, but now it's going to be 10 episodes of the campaign. And if you haven't listened to it, I mean, it's really good. They do a great job. They're all voice actors that do that. So obviously, they're going to be doing the voice acting in the show, but just incredible support for that particular group of people.
Yeah, it's I've watched some. I haven't listened to all the podcasts. My preference is to watch because they put it on YouTube where you can actually see the film, and I think seeing them is a little more fun. I just finding the time to sit down, because their episodes are 3 hours.
Yeah, they run three, sometimes 4 hours.
So much time. Yeah. I do enjoy. I still listen to the Adventure Zone.
Right.
The Adventure Zone. From the McElroy brothers,
from here in West Virginia.
Proud of the West Virginia content creators. So maybe they'll catch on to that, and they'll do their own Kickstarter and do a animated series of that. I know they're doing the second comic.
They did a comic.
Yeah, it's more like a graphic novel, right? The second one, I think, is coming out. It's about. I won't talk what it's about. If you don't know the story arc, then you should go and listen to the show.
Yes.
It's still, and they're in the second story arc now with the Adventure Zone.
Yeah,
it's been and it takes place in a made-up town called Kepler, West Virginia. So that's neat.
But it's just it's amazing to see the support.
It is. It's great.
For that particular program. So I mean, they do a good job, and they good for them.
Yeah.
And we were close to $9.5 million on our Kickstarter.
We almost hit 9.5 million.
Yeah, right.
Just short.
Just short. Yeah.
By the time you see this episode, chances are Game of Thrones, the final season, has already been premiered. It's back. It's being all over everything. People are talking about it. I saw packages of Game of Thrones Oreos on Facebook.
And why wouldn't there be Game of Thrones Oreos?
Everything popular gets an Oreo, I guess, is the nature of it.
Were they a special flavor?
They tasted like death.
Okay.
That's appropriate.
I don't know. I think they were just Oreos that had the House Stark emblazoned on them or something.
Right.
I didn't have any though. So
I don't eat Oreos. I don't know if I'm weird in that, but I don't eat Oreos.
My problem is if I were to eat them, I'd eat too many Oreos.
Oh, okay.
So
yeah. So it's a shorter season than normal this time around. It's like a couple, 3 episodes shorter.
Didn't they they were going to have one more season, but they split it into 2, so this is the second of 2?
The opposite of that. Sorry, they thought they had 2 seasons worth, and because there were 2 books worth, but they passed up the books and kind of consolidated some storylines, not really knowing where the book was taking them, and condensed 2 seasons to 1.5.
Gotcha.
So the opposite of Harry Potter and everything else with the double final episode.
So I don't know about you guys, but I'm really excited about it. I'll probably spend the next couple of days after this getting ready for that episode by watching last season, so I'll remember everything. And
I'm looking 2 years.
I'm looking forward to it. I did see somebody post on Facebook the same thing I thought. I think it maybe was Chase Henderson. Which was basically, at this point, maybe Martin will just go, you know what, everybody knows what happens. What's the point in finishing the books?
Right.
I almost suspect that. Although, I'd rather hear his version because there's a lot of fan service and rule breaking in the show in the last couple seasons. In the first season, it took 6 months to get from Winterfell to King's Landing. In the final season, somebody made the trip to the north.
Well, they developed teleporting.
Yeah, pretty
magic.
much.
It's magic, Doug.
Star Trek.
When you level up, you get a
That's
teleport
right.
spell. What level was a teleport spell? Like 6 levels?
Something like that.
You just
yeah.
gotta level up.
Okay, so it's. I'm sure Martin would have explained the teleporting rules.
Right. That's right.
That's
But these
right.
I do
showrunners
hear
did not.
his new series of books is very good, so maybe he's just going to go with them. He's got a new series, which is kind of
How hard is it to just
What are
finish
you
the
doing writing a
series you
new
started?
series of books when you haven't finished the one everybody wants you to write?
You don't really have any ideas.
Is that what it is?
I mean, you know where the plot needs to go, but you don't want to like fill in that fine detail of like what
guess.
the words people are going to say.
Can you
That's
imagine
right.
how
what
long he's
actually
had-
happens.
Can you imagine how long he's
Yeah.
had that outline written on his wall or whatever? Just looks
I
at it
bet he
every day.
wrote "Hold the Door" on his wall 20 years ago,
And he was like, "That's brilliant." And then I'm gonna wait till they get a load of this.
and then these two jackasses on an elevator guessed it, and then he was, yeah, you guys can do the show.
That's right.
So anyway, if you like Game of Thrones, you're probably happy. Recently, this new Star Wars trailer came out, and everybody's
Yes.
been talking about that. It's got Rey. That's her name, right? Rey.
Right.
Rey jumping over top of a TIE fighter.
Yeah.
Not a TIE fighter,
It's
but
a-
whatever they're called nowadays.
Whatever it is, it's
Yeah.
an Imperial device of some sort.
I do wonder why it doesn't shoot at her. She's right in
He
front of
wants to run her down.
it. Okay.
And
Yeah.
she'd have just blocked it, Choo, 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 Jedi. Choo.
Okay.
It's-
Sure.
That's
whatever.
that's what Jedi say.
I think my favorite
Yeah.
part though was
Okay.
watching Kylo use one of those little short ends to get somebody in the gut. I don't know if you guys caught that, but
Yep.
Yeah.
Caught that. And of course,
Low
we see
in the
Finn and
The best part of the trailer is the fact that now we will see a resurgence in the availability of Colt 45 now that Billy D's back, right?
yes,
Oh,
that's
yeah.
right.
Colt 45, right?
we should have said spoilers for people who wanted that.
it's a
But
good-
you should have watched it by now.
Watch the if you haven't watched the Star Wars trailer on the day that it drops, then
If you're watching
You're probably not
CharCast,
watching that. This.
chances are you've seen the Star Wars trailer.
absolutely, yeah.
Doug, you can put a thing in here that says spoiler warning.
No, I don't care. Forget
Okay.
it.
Does he smuggles Colt 45? Is that the plot
I
of
think,
this?
I think that's it. Right. Did I ever tell you about the time I was at Nashville Comic Con and I was with Billy Tackett, and our booth, right beside our booth, was Fred the Hammer Williamson. Do you know who that is?
Fred the Hammer Williamson, help me out.
He was in a bunch of old movies, and then he was a football player.
Yes, okay,
And he was in
yes,
Dusk
I know.
Till Dawn.
Yes,
He was the dude, the vampire killer in Dusk Till Dawn.
right.
Yeah.
I know who you're talking about now.
I took the time to have a conversation with him. He promoted a malt liquor in the 80s as well called King Cobra.
King Cobra.
And he was talking about how Colt 45 was crap. And King Cobra was the bomb.
You know what's your favorite part of that movie from Dusk Till Dawn? Is it the foot, the crotch gun?
I think it's Harvey Keitel when he becomes the mean mother effing servant of God.
Yeah. Okay, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's a good line.
You know, I like the crotch gun
From Sex Machine?
from Sex Machine. Selma Hayek's foot scene, maybe not for me. But
Cheech Marin's hype outside of the bar is pretty good, but I can't
Yeah,
repeat it on
I
this.
agree.
It's a family show.
he plays several characters in that movie. I think,
Yeah.
right? Have you seen the Netflix series? Or I don't think it started. Netflix.
We watched some of it. It wasn't as good as the movie.
No, it was not. Mostly because it's meant to be told in 2 hours and
Right.
not 20.
Right.
You want to watch something fun in that kind of same vein is Ash versus Evil Dead.
That's much better than
the on
Dusk Till Dawn.
Well, yeah, that's-
show.
the TV show or the Netflix show.
Yeah,
that
well-
was good stuff.
Yeah, that was a good show.
I finally watched Death, Love, and Robots.
That was
Oh
good.
yeah.
Had a
I
good
like that.
had a good heavy metal vibe to it.
I like that episode 3. Not the story. The one called The Witness.
The animation.
The animation on that was so trippy. I looked up how they did it. Apparently they didn't model and rig like the clothes on the characters. They just modeled them nude, and they used keyframe instead of motion tracking.
I
Which
have no idea what you're talking about.
keyframe
That's
is where
okay.
you manually pose them and say like have this point on the elbow here, and then 3 frames later have it go there,
Uh-huh.
and have it smoothly move between.
Okay.
And then
I
they
see.
used some clothing like physics design thing from the fashion industry to do all the clothes in it, and it gave it that really realistic
Yeah,
look.
well, I mean, the thing about that particular series is each episode. I mean, they're only 10 minutes 12 minutes long. Each episode has a different look and feel to it.
Right? There's like an
And that one
R-rated
was
Milan.
that one was it was trippy for sure. But
It
the
was
look
good.
of it was
If you haven't
amazing.
watched,
Yeah.
if you haven't watched it on Netflix, it's definitely good.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so the final thing we're going to touch on is the Origins Game Fair. Now, that's also sort of a regional convention, but it's a bigger national convention, so we wanted to talk about it separately. It comes up in June. I think it's June 12th or 13th to the 16th.
It's always right around Father's Day, like the weekend of.
It's in Columbus, Ohio, and it is a great convention. It's a great place to go and play games. A lot of us go up there. I work for Queen Games, and a lot of us, we work in the booth there, and we have a great time. So plan on going to the Origins Game Fair. Great food in Columbus, the North Market right across the street. Go to Schmidt's and have German food or whatever.
I'm coming out of the booth this year.
Coming
by
out
way.
of the booth.
Yes.
That's too many. I wonder how many people get that reference.
I don't know.
Adam Sandler. Anyway, Origins Game Fair. Go to it. Have fun.
I'll be there.
All right. CharCon, July 12th to the 14th. Vendor registration open. Pre-registration opening soon. Event submission. Our theme is post-apocalypse, so if you're wondering what kind of game to run.
Twilight Imperium. Actually, I'm submitting that. So
Sure. Twilight Imperium.
This is your
And
chance.
maybe if you're lucky, he'll play 4X with you and John Company.
hey, some people like those games.
Yes, they do.
I do.
Some people don't. Thanks for watching. It's been another episode of Charcast. We'll see you soon.